This week's episode is brought to you by Capital Financial Advisory Group for all your retirement needs.
Broadcasting from coast to coast, it's the Financial Safari with your host, Coach Pete D'Arruda. You'll hear from some of the nation's top financial professionals. So stick around and find out how to make it through the jungle of the financial world, right here on the Financial Safari.
Welcome to Financial Safari. I'm Jackie Selby, your consumer advocate. I'm here with Dave Perkins, senior consumer advocate, and Greg Berrien, the man of the hour, because he is celebrating his birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you.
I know. Now, Greg Berrien for 20 years has been consulting with people and getting your insurance needs handled and strategizing your retirement. And today we're talking about the big group of people who are retiring next year. We're calling it the Peak 65.
Yeah, the baby boomer generation turning 65. We were already seeing it to the tune of about 10,000 every day, Greg. But now in 2024, we'll see just a tidal wave.
Oh, yeah, the class of 77.
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah, we're the class of 70. You know something? I'll tell you something. Class of 76, they thought they were hot stuff.
True.
We're the class of 76. My wife still says, we're better than you. We're the class of 76. But nah, we are it now.
That was
because it was bicentennial.
Bicentennial, that's what I was saying. It's all the
Exactly.
bicentennial.
Exactly.
But you don't plan to retire. Not everybody who's turning 65 plans to retire.
No. Did Warren Buffett retire?
No.
No.
But it seems to be that magic number that people think about, isn't it? Up
You know,
65,
it's funny.
gosh darn it.
It also depends on your job. I mean,
Right.
if you're stuck in a cubbyhole and you got somebody harping on you and beating on you, you're doing customer service and people are just pounding on you, making your life miserable. Guess what? 62 looks pretty darn good,
Oh, sure.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, but if you're like me and you're driving to the beach every week and you're meeting folks all over the state of North Carolina and talking to them and trying to help them out and put them into positions where they can retire safely, why would I retire?
Right.
That's nuts. I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
But 65, what is that magic? Is it to do with Medicare?
Well, 65 is a magic number for Medicare for the most part.
Okay.
Most people do start collecting at 65. Some people do collect it a little earlier if they enter through Social Security and disability income, which they can get 24 months after they apply for that. Or some people are still they're still working, and let's say their premium at their job is only $100 a month, and their Part B would be $220 a month because they make too much money.
Yeah.
So of course then they choose to stay in their
And they
job.
could
and accept
stay
that.
on.
But
That's
they
the
can put that off as long as they want, as long as they're showing creditable coverage.
Now, 65, another reason, Jackie, you're asking, I think it's burned in our psyche, is because at one time it was the Social Security full retirement age.
Oh my gosh, that was like a million
long
years
time.
ago.
Yeah.
And it was for a long time.
Now it maxed out at 67.
That's right.
And it's kind of funny. Whenever I talk about anything to do with the government, I always have to say at this point in time.
That's right.
At this point in time. I mean, how many times we're already on our second rendition of the Secure Act, right?
That's right.
We're on 2.0, and now they're already talking about 75. Being the time when you have to start taking out required.
In 2033, as it stands now. That's the case.
As it stands now.
What about Social Security, though? Because many people who are 65, some have claimed early, but many are still waiting for their full retirement age. What should they be considering?
Well, actually, believe it or not, 2/3 of all Americans choose to take it at the age of 62. That just tells me there's a lot of unhappy people in the workforce.
Yeah, no kidding.
And there's a lot of people who have not consulted with someone professionally.
Well, that's the thing, Jackie. Is you have to consult with somebody to see is this the right move. Now and it also depends on your position in life. Okay, if you're sick and there's things going on in your life, then heck yeah, you want to take that as soon as possible, because when you pass away, everything in your account goes away. If you're single. Okay, even if you're married, that's a whole different. We're going to get into that in just a second. Which is why if folks are 62 and they're single and they're done working, okay, working. When I mean that, I mean they're no longer taking on earned income. Investment income doesn't count. Social Security doesn't count. Anything like that does not count towards that. But you can't make more than $20,000 a year. And I always tend to encourage folks to start that Social Security then. Because let's say, on the second page, folks, if you look at your Social Security, it's really easy to get your page, to get your statement. All you got to do is you go online, ssa.gov, and you can answer a few questions, and they let you in. You can look at everything. You look at your earnings report. You look at everything. And you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner of the second page, it says how much money you've put into there. And I've looked at a lot of reports. I mean, I've looked at a lot of reports. And sometimes it's, $100,000, $150,000. So let's say you were single and you were done working, you chose not to take it, and you're waiting out for full retirement age, depending on when you were born, is anywhere between 66 and 67, and you die.
What happens to it?
All the money goes back to the federal government.
Oh.
And you know how prudent they are with our money.
Yeah.
It goes right back to the fund.
You can't will it to someone.
No. See, that's interesting, Dave. You know, it's kind of we recently last fall we did a great program in theaters in Wilmington and in Apex in Cary, and it was for a movie that we were working with called the Boomer Dilemma.
The baby boomer dilemma.
Yeah. And one part of it, this lady who was really closely aligned with the George Bush administration, was they were getting really close to actually privatizing Social Security, which would have been cool.
I remember
because
that.
then it would have been able to be passed on to your family members as well. And they had 28 states on board. And then all of a sudden something called 9/11 happened. And it went away and was never to be found again. And so, you know, Dave, people can actually get that. Tell folks how they can reach this out.
Oh, it's actually really easy. You call the number on your screen, and not only will they make available to you the baby boomer dilemma, but you can also use that number to schedule a comprehensive review with Greg and the team. They'll go over these components like Social Security and more, like building an income. And Greg also, and if you're not yet retired at 65, coaching you in those last-minute savings efforts before you launch your retirement.
That those last couple years are critical in going forward. But I want to come back a little bit also to the part with the married couple.
Okay.
Oh, on Social Security.
On Social Security.
Because that's one way you can have it live on, right?
Yes, exactly. So if I'm working with a couple and the smallest one, the smallest Social Security, there's usually a disparity between the two. I always encourage them to turn theirs on earlier and have the larger one go deeper. So that way, when the shorter or larger one does pass, the larger Social Security amount will continue on for the remaining spouse.
Okay, that makes sense.
For example, the woman's salary may have been less.
Yes, if a woman
over her lifetime of working,
maybe she took some years off to raise the kids or whatever it may be, but or nowadays I'm seeing all kinds of stuff out there, and so I just look and say who's bigger, who's got the bigger one.
Who has the larger salary over a lifetime?
We go for that.
Boy, I really never knew that on the statement from Social Security it had how much you put into the.
It's like this is your life when you look at it.
Is,
you're putting in 7.5% of what you make into there, up to a certain level, and
but it doesn't grow. It's just a flat amount, right?
It's not growing. Yeah, but you're putting in, your employer's putting in the other 7.5%.
Is that also listed on the statement?
Yes, the employer is. For somebody like me though, I'm independent. I'm 1099. I'm paying the entire 15%.
You have to pay it all.
So one thing that they're considering is in 2034, a lot of folks know this, that Social Security will go down to about 80% of what it will have.
Unless they do something.
And
hopefully they will.
Well, I'll tell you something. That is the third rail of any political statement. Because if you drop the ball on that, holy cow, your political career is over. So they are going to do something.
Oh, sure.
The question is what?
What will it be?
There are a couple options. Raising it from 15% to 16, 17, 18%, which is frightening. Raising the level of how high it goes. I mean, they could make this also raising the full retirement age, or God forbid if they raise it from when you can start from 62 to 63 to, I mean, look what happened in France.
Right.
They went from 62 to 64, and there's millions of people rioting in the streets.
It's pretty delicate.
Protesting. It was pretty crazy.
One more thing, Greg, on SSA.gov. I've heard people say that you really need to check it because in your working past, one of your employers could have messed up and not contributing.
Your earning statement's in there, so it's kind of like reminiscing. You know what I mean? It's like,
really
I remember '87. That was a great year. That's why I didn't make anything. You know, but yeah. So you can look and you can see how much money you made every single year, and it's kind of like a blast from the past. It's kind of crazy to look at.
Really
Who in the world saves all their stubs, though? Is that what you're saying? You got to check.
Actually, that statement will show you. Like, wait a minute, I was working in '86.
Oh,
and
I see.
I don't see where anything went in for me.
Yeah, my
just
first
to double check.
statement was like 73 or 74 or something like that. Putting like whopping $800 maybe.
You
But
are that
they take the
tidal
top
wave.
35 years.
And also, too, because I think it's important to stress, too, and I know you do, that Social Security was never intended to be the sole source of income. You really need to get busy saving, too.
Yeah, you got to have alternative sources. You cannot rely on one component. You have to have multiple sources of income coming in, and that's I keep reading that. You know, a lot of people, a lot of Americans, they have not saved. They have no money, and a lot of people aren't ready for that, which is why they're going back to work at the age of 75. So if your job offers a 401k, even if they don't contribute, and very rarely do I hear about a job not contributing to a 401k, you gotta put money to that 401k. You know, very often when I'm talking to folks, I hear, where's your income coming from? And a lot of them have real estate that they're renting. Plus, also, you get pretty outstanding tax benefits on rental real estate for depreciation, and then the appreciation of the property, which is a great way of going, too.
But there's some catch-up strategies, yes, for 401k contributions. Didn't that all change recently?
Oh, yeah. Catch-up strategies are, after the age of 50, you can put more money into your 401k and more money into your Roth as well.
So maybe you're not completely out of luck when it comes to approaching that 65 if you're still working strong in your career.
The hard conversations I have to make sometimes when I'm talking to folks, from listeners that come and visit us, and I got to say, you need to push it a little bit further. We got to keep pushing that rock.
Well, that's a positive way of
because
telling them.
if you retire too early, let's say you retired at 62 and you didn't have the assets, we're talking the possibility of 25 years
Or 30 or more.
Yeah.
Well, we have some resources available to those who would like to check out the movie that we mentioned, The Baby Boomer Dilemma. And a great way to get in touch with Greg Berrien is to call the number on your screen. We also have a text number for you to call, so you can make an appointment and sit down with him. He does cover a lot of territory. And we have more coming up on Financial Safari. Again, go ahead and check out that number on the screen if you'd like a copy of the film. And we have some other resources, as I mentioned. And thanks so much, Greg Berrien, Financial Safari. Happy birthday.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Memories with Grandpa.
My first job.
My fourth job.
Crazy road trips.
Our first date. Meeting our son.
Exploring our world.
Our world. Family and friends. Our special song.
Secure your retirement by meeting with a financial advisor.
We've all encountered that fast-talking salesman, whether it's buying a car, maybe a new house, and it can be very overwhelming. I'm consumer advocate Thomas Lipscomb. I'm here with best-selling author, Coach Pete D'Arruda. I'm excited to discuss this book. We're going to be discussing one of your books, Fine Print Fiasco.
Yep.
Now, may I ask, what inspired you to write this book? Did you have a particular situation, maybe with a timeshare or buying a car, where you just thought, this doesn't feel right?
Well, you may ask anything you want, Thomas, by the way. No, I mean, I talk to folks, I'm in the financial arena now 31 years. Wow. And so talking to folks every single day, and there seem to be the same problems that existed with a lot of folks. The same dirty tricks were played on a lot of different people. So I took notes, and I found all the warning signs, or all the ones that I identified, and all the dirty tricks that are played, and put them in a book. So now you understand, if you're hearing a certain thing, alarm bells should start going off. Mm-hmm. We show you what to look out for when you're buying a car, buying a house, getting a new mortgage. A financial guy's trying to sell you a variable annuity. All the reasons why you should not touch a variable annuity. There are some other ones, other annuities, the cousins, that are a lot better than variable when your money is not at risk and there are no financial termites. Risk, fees, commission.
Absolutely. Wise words. Again, we're here with best-selling author Coach Pete D'Arruda discussing his book, Fine Print Fiasco. To find out more or to get a copy of the audiobook, just visit fineprintfiasco.com and stay tuned because we have more content on the way.
Keep in mind, in the stock market in particular, you are not up until you're out. Don't buy high and sell low. As interest rates go up, bond prices go down. You're going to get trapped in bad bond funds, so be very careful about stocks, bonds, even mutual funds. Look at the new life insurance policies as the Swiss Army knife. Now, one thing I absolutely hate are real estate investment trusts. But the problem I have with silver and gold, it just sits there when you buy it, it earns 0% interest. So crypto's very risky. It's just like the stock market. We have to be very careful on that. The only annuities I like, secure your principal, make it guaranteed. They grow your money every year, they protect your growth, and then they give you lifetime income you can never outlive.
Welcome to Financial Safari. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch the show today. I'm Jackie Selby, your consumer advocate, with Dave Perkins, consumer advocate. And we have Greg Berrien here celebrating his birthday and about to talk about the big number of people dumping into retirement next year. It's peak 65, so 10,000 people a day or more are going to be jumping into the I'm 65 now realm. You'll be 65 next year, won't you?
What a stress on the system. Yeah, I will.
Oh, boy.
What a need for a team of people who specialize in retirement strategies. Can you think of any?
I wonder.
It's crazy. You know the biggest strategies that we have to work on, that when I talk to folks, and I work with everybody in our office, whether you're working with Marty or Parker or Leanne, it doesn't matter. I work with everybody on it. Is if you're over the age of 65, that's no problem. That's a piece of cake. We just slip you right into Medicare, or you're already in Medicare. But sometimes, not sometimes, a lot, we have people that walk through the door and they're like 62, 63, they're losing the health care, or they're going to keep health care. But what is it like? Is it worth it? Which way should we go? And that's what I call that healthcare jujitsu. Okay, it's like you got to go with the flow, you know, and you take everything into consideration: what hospitals they go to, what doctors they have, what medications they take, and it's crazy. So I do a complete analysis of that for folks that are getting ready to go there, because that bridge is critical.
Yeah,
it goes from healthcare to wealth care. You want to lose everything you have in the world? I dare you to go one day without health care, okay?
No kidding.
And that's the day it happens. We all see it happen every day.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategies, not just the health care, but that's what you do. You're an insurance advisor, and so you can help folks with that. But the thing about that retirement age and losing your money in the healthcare scheme is maybe not planning for long-term care.
Generally, hopefully, long-term care really doesn't come into effect until you get well into your 80s.
Yeah,
like
but
the
planning,
slow-go years.
But planning is a critical component. Long-term care insurance is an interesting thing. Everybody knows that if you don't use it, you lose it. That's a pretty common philosophy. We all know that, and people accept that. But I think where people get blindsided sometimes on that is when they all of a sudden 5 years into the plan and they get a notification. Oh, guess what? Your premium just went up.
And what choice do you have then?
Oh, you have one of three. One, pay the man.
Right.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. Great.
Thanks for that increase.
Here's an extra $100. Have a great day. Choice two, get lost. I'm done with you. And you lose your, whatever money you put into it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or three, the one that probably is the most popular is, I can't afford an extra $100. Well, no problem. We'll just reduce what you have.
Oh, your benefit.
You reduce your benefit, which is why a lot of people are transitioning into life insurance on that.
What's available with that? I've heard it's really like a new, improved life insurance.
Actually, the first plan like that came out. I remember that it came out around 18 years ago. I was working for American General, and they're the first company to come out with something called accelerated benefit riders. And what it is you can accelerate the benefit from your life insurance policy while you're still alive. Originally, it was only if you had a terminal illness. Now and also it was only a percentage. But now it's just so good you can collect almost all of the face value of your policy while you're still alive if you cannot conduct 2 of the 6 activities of daily living.
And what are they?
It's things like toileting, transferring, feeding yourself, things like that. And once a doctor signs off on it, then basically you turn on this flow of tax-free income.
Okay.
It's pretty amazing.
And protect your legacy too.
Initially, it's more money, Dave. Initially,
Yeah.
it's definitely more money. Reason being is because there's a very high probability that you are actually going to use the money from this. Whereas in long-term care insurance, they got that built into their business model. They know they're going to lose people. They know people are going to drop it. They know people are going to die without using it. Whereas a life insurance model, there's a really, really high probability it will be used.
Right.
And you can pass that along, can't you? If you don't use it.
If you pass away, let's say you had a $200,000 policy and you were accelerating $4,000 a month. What they do is they literally send you a tax-free check for $4,000. You can do anything you want with that money, and you only collect it for 4 months, and then you pass away. So that's $16,000. Your beneficiaries would then receive $184,000. That's high math, Jackie.
I know. Is that tax-free? I'm still stunned because you said tax-free.
Yeah, tax-free.
You talk to so many different people with different dreams of their retirement. They may need to fill that healthcare gap. Is the one thing when they first come to you, am I ready? Is that their big question?
It's really funny. People always ask me that. When can I do it? Am I ready? And it's funny. It's sometimes they say, "Am I ready?" I'm going, "Yeah, you could have retired like 5 years ago." "Oh, really? Oh, but I'm not ready to retire." "Then don't retire." "But should I?" "Oh, for goodness sake!"
Yeah.
But some people aren't ready.
But some people, and we tell them the truth. That's one thing you can count on. Mm-hmm. That's one thing you can count on from the guys in my office. Is we will tell you the truth. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We're going to give you the you may not like the truth, but we'll tell you the truth of exactly what can happen.
But you can coach them and to maybe expedite when they're ready to work with them on
exactly what positions to do, things that we can do. Also the thing is sometimes people only have maybe another 3 years on a mortgage or another 4 years on a mortgage, and so we kind of look at that, and then we say, okay, your income gap goes from $5,000 to $3,200. And now the income gap, what that is we take all the money that's guaranteed, supposedly, coming in, Social Security, pensions, things like that, and then we take the amount of money that you spend. So let's say you have $3,200 coming in from Social Security and pensions, and you spend $5,000 a month. That $1,800 is your income gap.
Okay.
And what we look and say, how can we fill that income gap? That's the most important thing. And what we utilize is that green bucket that we've talked about many, many times. Mm-hmm. That's the insured accounts that are guaranteed to never go down in value. And that's the money that we utilize to take care of keeping the lights on and keeping bread on the table.
Well, you're helping them maintain the lifestyle that they want to maintain and continue.
Exactly. I mean, you don't want to start eating cat food, although cat food's expensive. Okay.
Yes,
it has gone up in price like that.
Yeah. But no, that's the whole thing. Is you want folks to be able to enjoy their lifestyle. When you retire, there's 3 different phases of retirement. We have our go-go years. Mm-hmm. The knees still work.
Yeah.
The arms still work. Okay. You can hike up Diamond Head, no problem. You can knock that out. Those are your go-go years. Then we go into our 70s, and maybe Diamond Head is not the option there. So those are our slow-go years because we're happy just sitting on the beach, right?
Yeah.
And then we go into our no-go years where getting on a plane is frightening. Okay.
And you say, come to me, people.
Yeah, you have to pay for it.
I have gone to folks' house and that people that couldn't come see me. I do that very, very rarely, but to be able to serve the people in our community, I will do that.
Because of longevity, we probably had to extend all of those phases of retirement now, which is something you have to look at to make sure that, well, the big fear is running out of money in retirement. How do you help guarantee that that doesn't happen?
Well, first of all, basically we break it down into, we have the red bucket, yellow bucket, and green bucket. The older you get, that red bucket are the assets that can actually go down in value. So when you're 30, 40 years old, when 2008 happened, it was like, oh, what a drag. I just lost 35% of what I have.
Yeah.
That rots. It's like, yeah, but I got 20 years working, no problem. It'll come back. And sure enough, it did come back. Mm-hmm. It almost always comes back. But the problem is when you're 65, 70, 75 years old, there's a commodity there. The commodity is actually time.
Time.
And you don't have that time anymore, which is why you have to start looking at, okay, how much risk am I willing to take? Sometimes I'll sit to folks, I'll say, from a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, I'm going to take my money, I'm going to put it in a coffee can and bury it in the backyard.
Okay.
And 10 being, I'm going tech stocks all the way, you know.
Put it all on red.
Ride or die, you know what I mean? You know, 100,000 on red. And I say, where are you?
Somewhere in the middle.
And very often you get that 5 to 6, And also, folks, you know, just so you know, if you and your wife or you and your husband don't agree, you are not uncommon. So that's why the communication and talking and discussing this is really indicative upon creating a good retirement plan.
Well, it seems like one of the other strategies is the wealth transfer.
That is enormous. First of all, you know, everybody knows you have to have a will, primarily for financial directors. But I think more importantly on the will is you want to have that broken down to, it's like, this is what I will do to stay alive. This is what I will not do to stay alive. You have to have that in writing because you do not want to leave that burden on your family members.
Right.
But one thing about a will that people don't realize is it has to be driven through probate. Okay? And the word probate means to prove. And so therefore, especially, you know, if I'm working with a blended family, I always recommend a trust. Okay, or somebody without children, I recommend a trust. But sometimes there's really clean estates, then then maybe a trust may not necessarily be necessary because there's 2 things that bypass probate.
Okay.
A trust, and also anything with a beneficiary attached.
So an ironclad designation.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's no contesting it at all whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
You definitely want to avoid probate, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because you know it can get expensive. It's timely. It's expensive. It holds up the estate, and it can be the stories I've heard would just curl your hair, Dave.
Yeah. Well, maybe. 20 years ago, they may have.
Wow.
Should everybody have comprehensive estate planning, or can you adjust it per person?
Well, I'm not a lawyer. I did play one on TV once.
I believe it.
In that movie you were in?
But I always, you know, I advise my clients to speak with an attorney. I mean, I can give them, you know, basic guidance, but the best guidance I can get is tell them where to go. Well,
right.
For advice.
For advice.
Yeah.
You're the quarterback.
That's a great point. So which is why, Jackie, it's really, really important to know when to pass that football off. You know, you're going to pass, you're going to hand it off, because a good retirement strategist knows when to bring in a different professional to help you achieve your retirement goals.
And there are a lot of resources, and you can follow the phone number on the screen if you'd like to check in with Greg Berrien or the whole team at Capital Financial and Insurance. It's a fiduciary firm, and Greg is going to give you some great ideas and strategies to get going on your retirement. If you haven't made that leap to talk to a professional, that's why we're getting on TV, to highly encourage you to do so, because, there's a whole lot of people who get to this age, whether it's the peak 65 or any time leading up to that, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, who've never talked to a professional. We highly recommend that you do. And Greg Berrien, as you notice, is kind of a nice guy, and happy birthday to him. And thanks for tuning by. Thanks, Dave Perkins. Have a great day from all of us at Financial Safari.